The best mentors challenge others. They cause us to bring our A game. They invite us to be greater than we thought we could be. Welcome to the Drew Coaching Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 7, Bring on the Challenge. And our focus for this week is to call others to greatness. Drew Coaching is a community of leaders and creatives who are shaping the future. My name is Eric Drew, and I am wildly passionate about raising up others to have great impact. The Drew Coaching Podcast is a weekly boost for your leadership and creativity in 10 minutes or less. And my goal is to give brief content and practical application questions so that you can focus on a new skill or growth area throughout this week. Here in Season 2 of the podcast, we're focused on raising the leadership of others through training, mentoring, and coaching. If you're new to our community, welcome! It's great to have you on this journey with us. I especially want to give a shout out to those who are sharing on Spotify. This season, we're growing on all platforms, and I'm so grateful that you're telling your friends about this community. In addition to hearing the podcast wherever you listen or watching on YouTube, I want to encourage you to visit the show notes at drewcoaching.online. There, you can revisit the content, you can find relevant links and see the application questions if that helps you. You can also sign up to get the podcast and the show notes delivered right to your email every single week. So, this is a third week of content related to mentoring. The first 4 weeks this season, we focused on the teaching skills of strengthening our strengths, a new process for practice, developing a growth mindset through continuous improvement, and remembering that people learn what they want. To grow as mentors, so far we've covered building trust and learning from those around us. Last week I shared that learning from others might be the secret sauce to mentoring, but this week we take it to another level. This week I want you to challenge those around you and call them to greatness. Once we've established a good mentoring relationship by building trust and recognizing that each person in the mentoring relationship has a lot of knowledge to bring, then we can go deep. Because here's the deal. You're a great team member or supervisor, partner, designer, engineer, teacher, pastor, executive director, organization member, volunteer, leader, or creative, or whatever you find yourself doing. You're passionate, you're gifted, you have a vision to shape the future. But we can't just do that alone. We must call others to greatness. Next week, we're going to talk about being an encouragement to others, and I want you to be a positive, uplifting voice, but I'm telling you, the leaders who shape the world around them challenge others. They call all of us to be better. To call others to greatness, I want you to practice 3 things this week. First, I want you to stop shying away from your gift. There's something that you can do better than anyone else. After that, I'm sure there are a few other things that you are great at. In my experience, great leaders don't flaunt their gifts. Actually, I find that in many cases, the most talented people tend to shy away from emphasizing or sharing their gifts because they don't want to overwhelm others or brag or show off. But the reality is that the world needs what you are great at. We need you to do it, and we need you to share it and celebrate it. First, your gift is one of the areas you'll have the greatest impact. But also, we're all inspired and called to greatness when we see you being great. Especially if you're in a mentoring relationship, stop shying away from your gift. Share it with the world to see and learn from. I also want you to point out examples of greatness. 2 of my childhood idols were Allen Iverson and Maurice Andre. Allen Iverson was a professional basketball player for the Philadelphia 76ers, and he had this move, the killer crossover. I still think it was the deadliest one-on-one move of all time. I watched him do that over and over and over again, and then I tried. Now, you probably haven't heard of Maurice Andre, but my high school trumpet teacher introduced me to his recordings and CDs. Andre had the biggest trumpet sound I had ever heard, and it captured my imagination and so much practice time. Now, I didn't end up being a basketball player or a trumpet player, but I did spend hours and hours watching and listening to their greatness. Then I worked for hours and hours to imitate them the best that I could. They opened my imagination and my definition of what was possible. As a teacher and mentor, I want you to point out examples of greatness. Definitely the ones directly related to what you're working on, but also it's valuable just to share what inspires you. Finally, I want you to confront lack of passion, effort, and growth areas directly. We all need a guide who calls us to action and calls us out when we're not bringing our best. In her excellent book, Radical Candor, Kim Scott challenges us to care personally and challenge directly. Two terms she uses for people who don't challenge directly are ruinous empathy and manipulative insincerity. Being direct and clear is kind. If someone in your team, organization, maybe someone you're mentoring, or just someone else around you isn't doing well, or doesn't seem to care, or has a major growth area, the kindest thing you can do is share with them directly. We cannot work on and resolve challenges that are not named. Again, Kim Scott's excellent advice is to ensure that you care personally, don't just be a jerk, but you're not being nice by avoiding the areas that people need to improve. Hey, if you've been tracking with us this season, you are invested in raising up the leadership and creativity of others by teaching, mentoring, and coaching. This week, we get serious about it. I want you to grow by calling others to greatness. Stop shying away from your gift, point out examples of greatness, and confront a lack of passion, effort, and growth directly. I want to make sure you have a few application questions to deepen your learning and practice this week, because this stuff can be tough. You might think you might need the time to think through it and mentally prepare yourself. So, what's one gift or skill that you have that you shy away from? Why do you shy away from it? Who inspires you? And who else could you share their example with? Finally, I want you to think about someone around you who needs to hear direct feedback. Notice how thinking about giving feedback makes you feel, and practice the conversation by yourself out loud. And know that I'm excited for you. The world needs more people like you who are willing to share their gift and call others to greatness. It's a journey, and it isn't always easy, but we need you to do it. As you're practicing and processing this week, I recommend going back to the show notes. You can find them at drewcoaching.online. It'd also be great to connect on Instagram and TikTok. Tell me how you're doing with this one. I know this is a tough one, but I'd love to hear what you're learning. And so here's how we close, friends. You're a leader, you're creative. The world needs your voice. So call others to greatness. You're going to continue raising them up, bringing hope to life. We are in this together.